If you're interested in serious content curation or high-volume blogging, one thing you might want to do is divide up the work between members of a work group. For example, you could have one or more people combing through large volumes of blogs or RSS feeds looking for high-quality content, and then they could turn over the best content that they find to one or more writers to write abstracts, add commentary, curate the content, and take care of the publishing side of the process. Let's take a look at how the workgroup version of SEO Content Factory helps you divide up the work, keep everybody focused on what they're supposed to be working on, and prevents unauthorized people from messing with your settings or doing anything else they're not supposed to do. I'm already subscribed to several feeds, and I've got them organized in folders, which I'll show you a little bit more later. So now let's take a look at the group management features in SEO Content Factory WG. The first step is to create groups to organize your team members into. Each group will have different access privileges and other settings. The first two groups are created automatically. There's a default group that everyone goes into until they've been assigned to a specific group, and an admin group that has full access to all the features of the program. Beyond that, you can create as many other groups as you want. For this example, I've created 4 groups. First, story finders, who are going to comb through all the headlines and find the best stuff to write about, and then 3 groups for writers who will write about different topics. Once you've created your groups, the next step is to set up your users and to assign them to groups. User logins are actually created using cPanel or whatever tool you use to set up password protection on your website. You can set up as many usernames and passwords as you wish and give them access to the SEO Content Factory folder, and then list their usernames here and assign them each to a group. All the groups you set up are listed across the top, and you can list as many usernames down the side as you wish. A new line is added each time you fill in the last line. For this example, I have a user named Finderman, who's a member of the Story Finders group, and then 4 writers: Blake, who blogs about writing, Martin and Kent, who blog about marketing, and Leo, who blogs about SEO and other technical topics. Now that we've got our users and groups set up, we can assign access privileges to each group. Once again, all the groups you've created are listed across the top, and the checkboxes below specify who has what privileges. The admin group automatically has all privileges, and as you can see, for the most part I haven't given any other privileges to any of the other groups because they really don't need them. The only exception is that if my story finders find a new RSS feed to subscribe to that has good content, I want them to be able to subscribe to it, so I've given them the ability to edit folders and subscriptions and to see the folder pane. The folder pane is this pane over here on the left that has all the folders and RSS feeds listed in it. Since my writers don't really need to see that, I'd rather just remove the folder pane completely from their view and make more room for the headline and content areas. Next, we'll look at the folder visibility controls. This controls who can read the content that's in each of the folders. I've given my Story Finders group access to all of the folders so that they can comb through all of the content and flag the stories that look the most interesting. So for example, they'd click a headline, say, no, that's not worth writing about, click another headline, think, oh, that one might be worth writing about, and then click the check mark here to mark it so that the writers can find it easily. So let's get back to our folder visibility panel. And as you can see, the story finders can read all of the content, but the writers only have access to the content that's in their own folder. For this example, blogging writers can see the blogging folder, marketing writers can see the marketing folder, and SEO tech writers can see the SEO and tech folders. You'll notice that I have one feed up here that isn't in any folder. Any feeds that are outside of all folders will be visible to every group, regardless of what folders they have access to. So finally, let's look at the Publishing Targets Access Control panel. This is where all of your blogs and Twitter accounts will be listed, and where you'll control which groups can publish to each. As you can see, my Story Finders group isn't allowed to publish to anything. That's because their job is to find stories, not to write and to publish. My Blogging Writers group, on the other hand, has access to one of my blogs, and here where it says Atom, that's referring to the Atom Publishing Protocol, which is the protocol that WordPress uses, so these are my WordPress blogs. And then that group also has access to one of my Twitter accounts, so they can write a blog post and then tweet a link to it. I've also given access to that same Twitter account to my Marketing Writers and SEO Tech Writers groups. And then each of them also has access to a different blog. One is a Tumblr blog and another is a Blogger blog. You'll also notice that I've left a lot of the blogs unchecked under my admin group. It's not so much a matter of access as of reducing clutter in the interface. If I only use SEO Content Factory to publish to specific blogs, there's no reason for me to see all of them listed every time I open the editor. Of course, normally if you're not going to use SEO Content Factory with a specific blog, you wouldn't even configure it. In this case, I've just unchecked some to illustrate the point that it's not all about access, it's also about keeping the interface uncluttered. So let's take a look at what SEO Content Factory looks like when you're logged in as someone who doesn't have full privileges. For example, here I'm logged in as a member of the Story Finders group. As you can see, just about everything looks the same. I've got the list of folders and feeds, the headlines, etc. And most of the controls across the top here are the same, but you'll notice that these 5 icons aren't displayed. The reason for that is that in the Group Privileges panel I have all these checkboxes unchecked that control who can access the configuration panels in SEO Content Factory. The next thing you'll notice is that when I bring up an article, there are no buttons displayed here to open the editor. You'll see what those look like in just a minute when we look at this as a writer. So my story finder would come in here, look at the article, and if it looks like it's worth writing about, check the checkbox here, but they don't have access to the publishing features. So now let's look at what our writers see when they log in. As you can see, there are no folders and feeds listed on the left. That panel is completely gone. And also, if you look at the icons across the top, once again those 5 configuration icons are gone. But also these add feed and add folder icons are gone because our writers don't have access to those features. When a writer logs in, what they're going to do is check this checkbox, which will bring up only the stories that have been flagged by our story finders. Then the writer will click on a headline, read through the story, find something to quote, highlight it, and click one of these publishing icons to open the publishing editor. Once again, as you can see, the story finders don't have those icons displayed because they haven't been given access to any of my blogs. So the writer will click on the publishing icon, add some comments, and do whatever other editing they want to do. I'll just enter a few comments above the quote and a few more below. Then they can preview what they've written if they wish. They can either save the article as a draft for an editor to review or to schedule, or they can uncheck Save as Draft and publish it immediately. Select the blog that they're going to publish to, and as you can see, only the blog that this writer has access to is listed here. Then they'll select a category and click the Publish button to publish it. Once they've published, they can click the check to unflag the item, and then the next time they refresh the screen, that item won't be listed anymore. So there you have the Group Management Interface for SEO Content Factory WG, and an example of how you can set it up to divide up your content curation and blogging work between the members of a work group so that each can focus on the parts that are their responsibility. Thanks for watching.